Why am I in Nigeria? 11 years ago, I was looking for greener pastures, and I actually went to the United States first. And I stayed there for a pretty long time, trying to decide if that's where I was going to call home. But the first time I came to Nigeria was when I was 16. And from those visits that my parents used to bring us on, I just felt like there was a sense of belonging every time I came back home. I felt like this is where I was supposed to be, something connected for me, something clicked. So in my late 20s, just before I turned 30, my mother asked me what I wanted for my birthday present, and I said, I want to move to Nigeria. And she was very apprehensive about it. My dad gave a straight dead no, because he's only girl going to Nigeria, like, you don't have anybody there, what are you going to do? But I was very adamant that I felt like that's where I needed to be in order for me to thrive. And I felt like in London I'd already hit a glass ceiling. There was nowhere else for me to go, nothing that excited me. So I needed adventure, and I'm a spontaneous person, so why not Nigeria? What did I do in the UK? In the UK, I worked in PR, in media. I finished university, and I was lucky enough to secure a job with a media company. And then after that, I worked with a PR firm. But I'm not a creature of habit. I get bored very easily. So I like to be very spontaneous. I like to, no 2 days can be the same with me. And I felt like in the UK, you're stuck in a routine. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And then one day you wake up, you're retired, and it's kind of like, what have I done with my life? But every time I came to Nigeria on a holiday, I felt that adventure. I felt the thrill. And I felt like that was something that I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know entrepreneurship was going to be the journey for me. But I just knew that Nigeria had the crazy dynamics that I was looking for to kind of give balance into my life, if that makes sense, and give me some sort of excitement. So that's why I decided to come here. And funnily enough, when I go back to London now, I still get that feeling. Routine, I'm stuck, it's boring. So definitely I made the right decision 11 years ago. I'm a late bloomer. I started really late in like enjoying life and going out and socializing. I wasn't allowed sleepovers. I wasn't allowed to go out to the cinemas with my friends. If my friends came to the house to hang out, they can't hang out in the house. They have to be outside. So it was very strict in that sense, but it's because my parents were shielding all of us, and they wanted to protect us from basically, you know, bad intentions and people that necessarily may not mean well for us. My father, God bless him, I love him so much. He used to drive me to school every day, me and all my brothers. He never missed it for anything in the world. He would drop us to school in the morning, and he would pick us up from school in the afternoon. Now, living in London, you having a job, you know how difficult it is to drop your kids and pick them up from school. And he did this effortlessly. He was at every parents' evening. He was at every sports event. He really he was about his children. And in school at that time, where all the kids were getting like £1.50 for like dinner money, my dad was giving me like £5. And back then, that's like giving your child like 50K for one day for lunch. So in school, I had like all this money. And that's because he was just very intentional about his children. My mom, she loves to cook. That was her first love, cooking. And so from the age of 8, she had to always go to work. She sometimes worked night shifts. So she had to leave me in that position. Sometimes even over the phone, telling me, cut the meat, or yeah, put the meat in, put the water in the meat. Is it above? Because you didn't have iPhones then, you didn't have video phones or things like that. So she was literally giving me instructions over the phone, and I will make stew, or I'll make like rice or something so that me and my brothers can eat. But it was a very loving family. We have a very strong family unit. We like to crack a lot of jokes. Everybody in my family is tall, so it's a blessing for us. Why am I so driven? Because failure is not an option for me. I come from a background where I've gone through a lot, personally, in my life. I've been through a lot of trauma. And the way I bounce back from my trauma allows me to understand that I'm different from everybody else. Most people, if I say some of the things that I've been through, most people that have gone through what I've gone through, they're in a state of depression, maybe in a mental institution, suicidal. But I always bounce back because I feel like I'm not going to allow life to victimize me or allow things that have happened to make me a statistic. I've got to be different. So every day that I get knocked down, I don't have the luxury to stay down. I have to get up, dust myself up, and keep going. And I guess it's also part of the firstborn syndrome, because I feel like there's so many people behind me and so many people that I'm carrying. I can't afford to let my guard down. It's a pro and it's also a con, because yeah, it pushes you in terms of being successful, or I mean, I don't see myself as successful. For me, success is a journey, so I feel like I'm still working my way to getting somewhere. But it is very important for me to stay on the course, stay on track. I can't afford to, I've been through too much. I can't afford to just let it go to waste. I speak of trauma, how bad? Without going into deep details, but I've had trauma from the age of 7 to about the age of 28. Emotional abuse, physical abuse. I've been through life, just things that you probably wouldn't even think of. And, you know, I don't want to be, I'm not here because I don't want sympathy for the things that I've gone through. I've dealt with it. I've taken responsibility, but I have had my fair shares of disappointment, my fair shares of abuse, my fair share of neglect, and I've had to learn very quickly that life can be cruel, and people that you trust can also be very cruel, but you have the power to change your story. And so I had an option. I can either be known for that, what happened to her, poor girl, you know, or I can be a role model that someone looks at and says, well, if she went through that and she's now looking like this and living like this, why can't I do it? If I had to go back in time, what would I do with my career journey, my business journey, and my personal growth? Absolutely nothing. And I know it sounds quite, it sounds like a expected answer, because people will say, oh, I will never change anything, I regret nothing. But honestly, it's the truth. Every lash that I've received, every disappointment, every door that has closed, every thought of failure, every thought of, back then when I was really depressed, maybe like suicidal or feeling like I don't deserve to be here, every single thing that I've gone through as a human being has prepared me for where I am now. And it's just only the beginning. That's the way I see it. Because in my resilience, I've learned skills that I've been able to put into my career journey. And that is never giving up. No matter how many times things were pulled away from me in my personal life, things were taken from me without my authority or my approval, I didn't let it stop me. I got up and I kept moving. And so when I got into the workplace, that was my mindset. Get up and keep moving. Likewise with my business journey. I don't have the mindset of, okay, if I fail in this thing, then it's over for me. My mindset is, but I tried. Okay, if I fail, but I tried, right? It's better than me saying that I didn't do it at all. So that has also been something that from my past, I've been able to use positively in my business journey. And in my personal growth, I have a very deep sense of faith. I love God and I'm very much connected with my faith. and having a relationship with God. And I believe my personal growth and my personal development stems from my faith, because if I don't have God, I don't have anyone. I've been disappointed by men too many times. But there's only one person that's never failed me, and he always turns up for me. And even when I'm in the darkest place, he pulls me out of it. And those lessons, those adversaries, those setbacks, and tying that with my faith is what has made me realize that I would never change anything that I've been through. I just want to say to all my aspiring entrepreneurs, don't give up on your journey. Failure is not the final destination. If you have the resilience and you have the willpower to get up and keep going, and don't stop until you achieve your dreams and you can look back and say, I did it. It's very, very important. Just remember, with God, all things are possible.